So we've covered chapters 1 and 2. Those are the most important. Then comes the fun chapter on the superpowers. So why is this listed? This is done because the Yoga Sutras, as I said, they have to be comprehensive, Vishvatomukam. So to be a sutra, to be a bunch of sutras, it has to meet certain criteria, which we saw. One of them is being comprehensive. Vishvatomukam means all, seeing in all faces, so covering everything. One aspect is, of course, the great powers that come from meditation. It is called vibhutis or siddhis. Vibhuti is glory. Siddhi means like mastery, power that comes from mastery. It is not meant to advertise or market yoga, and in fact, we'll see Patanjali cautions about these superpowers. And all the commentators, so the Yoga Sutras so terse that you need a commentary, and sometimes a commentary of a commentary to study it. Now, the commentators, they don't want to stir up. They know that these superpowers, everybody, that's the first thing they would go to. So they did not stir up people's imagination more. So what they would do, they would just state it, and maybe add one or two statements, but they would not cause more fanfare about these topics. Okay, so with that, we will jump into this chapter. Okay, so there are many siddhis. Patanjali outlined so many siddhis, and he says that's not even the full list. One very nice shloka, sutra, is this Tata Pratibha Shravana Vedana Darsha Swadavatta Jayante. So from the yoga practice, the Pratibha, that is one of the most important things. Patanjali also says, Pratibha Tva Sarvam. Pratibha is intuition. And in fact, in asana practice, as I was telling, the best thing you can get from the asana practice is intuition. Using your body to feel situations instead of using your head to make decisions is the best thing you can get. This taken to the extreme is called pratibha, divine intuition. Shravana, you can interpret it as clairaudience, but great hearing. Vedana, refined feelings. When you're with a person, you know just from the body language, this person is not happy, all that. Vedana. In fact, the Buddha outlines 4 types of meditations. Mindfulness of the body is what he teaches first. That's why asana practice is important. Vedanena anupachinna, mindfulness of the feelings, the feeling states. I am upset, is it because I'm angry? Why? All that. Then mindfulness of the mind states, because mind, you can't observe the mind with the mind. It's very difficult, but you can observe the mind with the body. They say mind and body are 2 sides of the coin. So you can use the body to control the mind. Final one is mindfulness of Shila, that is like virtues. So the Buddha talks about this. So here, Vedana, the refined feelings, Adarsha, Drishti is sight. Darsha, Adarsha means extraordinary sight. It's interpreted to be clairvoyance. Aswada, refined face. Varta, all these are born. Let's hear Jai Shri's voice.
ततः प्रातिभश्रावणवेदनादर्शा स्वादवार्ता जायन्ते.
Okay. But the next sutra gives a caution. Te samadau upasarga vyuttane siddhayaha. They are obstacles to samadhi. Samadau upasarga. But in this world of people, they are considered to be superpowers. That's what he says.
ते समाधा उपसर्गा व्युत्थाने सिद्धयः.
They are siddhis. in terms from point of mortal people. They just think it's superpower, but they're actually hindrances if you get caught. So the scriptures throughout, they say, if something comes, just ignore it. Don't get caught up in that.
Obviously, you don't want to use it, but you want to
Use it for good.
get awareness of power. What is what you, how do you go? How do you carry on?
Yeah, you have awareness of the powers. I mean, if it comes, there are certain situations where you have to use it, but don't get caught. That's it. Because if you don't have such, you're not at the stage where your mind is very controlled, then you can develop an ego, all those things. Yeah. You have a question? What are they? Will come to this. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe there's some 40 or something that's given. Yeah. But and that's not even the full list, Patanjali says, but he just talks about all this. It starts with the Parinamat Traya Samyamat Athitana Gatatyanam, knowledge of the past and the future. This is one in which he says exactly tells how the mind can know the past and the future. Your mind, so um, let's say you're about to go on a vacation and you're thinking about it. So the flight to Hawaii is at 5 p.m. and 11 a.m. you're sitting at the office, and then you fall into your reverie, a daydream. You imagine you're taking a flight, going next day at the beach, and you're swimming in the ocean, and suddenly there's a shark that comes, and you just wake up from the reverie. So you see the sequence of events, and then you finally trace, how did I get to that? And you trace the sequence of events back to sitting in the desk. So like that, when the mind, this is just an example, but when the mind becomes very steady, then you're able to trace events apparently back. So you are able to get to the past, what's happened in the past from certain things. And you can also trace events, you know exactly which trajectory it will take. So with a good chance, you can understand how things will move in the future. So Patanjali explains this alone. The rest, he then just states and moves on. Understanding the speech of all creatures, this also he explains, because the speech, it's jumbled up. So there is words, and then there is shabda, artha, meaning, all everything is jumbled up. But when you have this viveka kati, this laser sharp intellect, you can understand the sarva bhuta rita jnanam, you can understand the speech of all creatures. Knowledge of previous lives, reading others' mind. Pratyayasya parachitta jnanam. When you meditate on the pratyaya, he doesn't say your pratyaya, your screen of the mind, or other screen. You can read others' minds. This is what he says. Unfortunately, nobody talks much about it, so we don't know. Pratyayasya parachitta jnanam. Then he also gives exclusionary criteria. So you can read others' mind, but you cannot, this doesn't include the supporting motive. For example, if a person feels fear, you don't know what caused that fear. So he's written it very scientifically, that you can't find. Because it's a scientific document, he has to give exclusionary criteria. Then one that asana practice we all relate to is this one. Udana Jaya Chilapanka Kantakadishvasanga Ukrantischa. Ukranti is levitation. By mastery over this prana called Udana. And in asana also, it's fully Hatha Yoga, fully prana focused. So all this things use the bandhas to go into handstand, pinchamayurasana, all that. What the bandhas do is it's just channeling the prana. So by mastery over udana, Jala is water, walk over water. Panka is mud. Kantaka is thorns, Adishu, etc. Asanga, without coming in contact, you can levitate. Ukram Tishcha, go over them. So, this he says, the five pranas. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole bunch becoming big, small, and samana jayat jwalanam. So when you meditate on the samana, which is the prana, which is needed for the fire in the body, you can get your body will be radiant, he says. And then Nabhichakre Kaya Vyuha when you meditate on the navel, you can know the arrangement of the body, what's wrong with it. And many things are universe, how everything moves, all that by meditating inside. So it gives so many things. Yeah. Then we will move into the last chapter. So the third chapter is full. After introducing the meditation, it's full of siddhis, this thing, that thing, walking, becoming big, becoming invisible. And he explains you can cut all sensory things for a very systematic. He says light. When you cut light from going out of the body, you become invisible. You can speak, but nobody can hear by cutting the sounds. All that stuff he says. The last one is the Kaivalya Pada, which is liberation, as I said. It is a chapter on Janma, Karma. So karma causes birth, then that creates more karma. So it's a cycle. You're adding to the stockpile, increasing. So aim is to reduce that. So eventually when it becomes zero, you get liberation. This has some very beautiful sutras. Maybe I can open the Kaivalya Pada. Second. That's handy. Okay. So this is called the cycle of samsara. Patanjali, the way he introduces this topic is talked all about the siddhis. So then the first sutra he says, Janmaushadhi mantra tapas samadhija siddhaya. Because it's scientific, he says, the superpowers can be obtained from by the birth, Janma, Aushadhi, certain medicinal herbs, Janma Aushadhi mantra by chanting, by tapas, you can get superpowers, tapas, and finally samadhi. The samadhi, the meditation is the most powerful. Tatra dhyanajam anashayam. Anything coming from a meditative state is of high quality because anashayam, it doesn't have leftover petty ego strings attached to it. Right? Whenever somebody puts something in a way of self-promotion, we instinctively feel there's a little bit of blemish on that, right? Because humans, we're also tuned, and this person slightly sneakily self-promotes something, then you feel that. But when it's coming from a meditative state of mind, it doesn't have ashaya, these strings. It comes, it's just holistic. All the Mozart, all those compositions, they're of high quality because it comes from that state of mind beyond the taking. This sutra, I put it there because it's very relevant to asana practitioners. It says, Nimittam aprayojakam prakritinam varana bedastu tata kshetrikavat. Nimittam aprayojakam. All these instruments, like that's, I'm giving for the example of asana, just taking 100 props and trying to do the body like having all that is good to a certain extent, but just doing again and again and again, that is not useful. Patanjali says all these instruments, they're not useful. Aprayojakam, this Prakritinam Varana Vedastu, removing the obstacles to the flow of Prakriti. Here, Prakriti refers to the Prana. Like what? Like a farmer building bunds. The farmer doesn't take water from the river, goes over, pour on the crops. He creates bunds, like creations all the way from the river onto the crops. Like that, removing the obstructions for the prana or the prakriti to flow, that is the way you get siddhis. That means big thing is the lifestyle. Once the prana has been restructured, then your body also becomes flexible and your mind also becomes calm. So this is actually a very important sutra. It is not just pumping your body to do things, but it's actually taking a step back and changing the lifestyle so that the prana flows. Listen.
निमित्तमप्रयोजकम् प्रकृतीनां वरणभेदस्तु ततः क्षेत्रिकवत्.
Kshetra means field. Kshetrika means a farmer. So like a farmer creating bunds, it says. It's a reference article for more information from the scriptures. And yeah, this is the famous sutra. Maybe I'll chant once and
तत्र ध्यानजमनाशयम्.
so shall we do the chanting for this one? Yeah, this is an important sutra. Tatra dhyanajam anashayam anashayam. Asha is all these leftover their desires. So anything dhyana ajam means aja means born. Anything born from meditation doesn't have this asha, the leftover clinging desires. So it is of very high quality. And Patanjali also says the yogi's karma is neither white nor black. They act from a state on them. And there, for the other people, it can be white, black, or gray. Karma shukra krishnam yoginas trividam itaresham. Karma ashukla akrishnam. It is neither white nor black for the yogi. Trividam itaresham. Itaresham means extra or others. For others, it's of three types. So one of the questions, this is actually a point of confusion for people. Okay, bad karma, I understand. Why for yogi's karma is not black, I understand. Why do you say yogi's karma is not white or good? So for this, I'll tell a story. It's in the scriptures, very famous story. It is a story of a king called Bharata. So towards the end of his life, the king said, before I give up my life, I want to cultivate deep meditation. I need a place. I want to retire into the jungle, at the edge of the jungle, live in the nature. Yeah. And he was meditating 20 hours a day. And one day, what happened, as he was finishing his meditation, there was a tiger or lion chasing a deer near a stream. So he lived near a stream. The deer was pregnant. It jumps across the stream, and in the process, it gives birth to a fawn. Fawn falls in the water. And we don't know what happened to the tiger or the lion. Then the Rishi, the sage, the yogi, he sees the baby deer in the water. He just jumps into the water, he rescues it. All that is great, he did a good thing, but problem is he gets attached to the baby. So he would feed it, all that, he took care of it. His meditation from 20 hours decreased to 15, 12, to 1 hour. If the deer wouldn't come back after grazing, he'll get worried. Oh, what's happening to the deer? I'm worried that it's not come. So he was thinking about the deer at the time of death, and in next lifetime, he was born as a deer. But this is a very refined deer. It kind of knew its past birth. So it will congregate near where all these learned people will be having a discourse. So it will go there and it will pick more knowledge. So after that life, again, the deer was born again as a human being. And in that life, this person gets liberated. So good actions, it's not like don't do, but don't get attached. That's why the yogi's karma is neither white or black. So if there is this attachment, or if I do good things, then I will be famous, I will get heavens, that is attachment. Because in some beliefs, even in Hinduism, they have it, you do this, you go to the heavens. But Chine Punye Matya Lokam Vishanti, after it's exhausted, you have to fall back. Yeah.
Remember that? Remember you
Yes, same thing. Yeah.
But you're still on the wheels.
Correct.
Either is
Yeah. Okay. Then from these karma, we already covered this. Tatastad vipakanu gunanam eva avityaktir vasananam. So all this karma, stockpile is there, but only those fructify which have the right favorable conditions. That's what Patanjali says in this sutra.
ततस्तद्विपाकानुगुणानामेव अभिव्यक्तिर्वासनानाम्.
Okay, reference. I added this one so you can find more reference. And Patanjali also describes this imprints. Every time we meditate, there's a tug of war happening between the restraining samskaras and the outgoing samskaras. So one wants to go out and do things, the other says, okay, don't go after that restraint. So there's a tug of war. And each time we meditate, the restraining samskaras are becoming strengthened. That's Patanjali exactly defines the process of meditation. We already saw the 3 types of karma, the prarabdha, sanchita, and the agami, the one that is yet to come. And remember, first we saw yoga as chitta vritti nirodha, that is, it's a cessation of the turbulence activities in the mind. Then what happens? Tada drashtuhu, seer abides in its own true nature. And after that, Patanjali describes so many things. Finally, he says that is how the seer resides in its own true nature. Last sutra of the Yoga Sutras. Purushartha shunyanam gunanam eva patiprasava kaivalyam swarupa pratishtava chiti shakti. He uses a different word, chiti shakti, the power of consciousness. He refers to the Purusha. Because one of the rules in the sutras, don't repeat things, so he uses a different word. Chiti Shakti iti. Tas, iti means tas. Tas, the Purusha. Swarupa Pratishta, it resides, Swarupa means its own true nature. Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. So, how? When all the purpose having ended, the gunas, all this, we have certain tendencies, they are nulled out, they have no use, the purpose has ended, and they reside back into Prakriti, into the nature. And the Purusha now abides in its own true nature. That screen is almost empty, sees its own reflection. So that's how he ends it.
पुरुषार्थशून्यानाम् प्रतिप्रसवः कैवल्यम् स्वरूप प्रतिष्ठा वा चितिशक्तिरिति.
So Patanjali uses some very potent words. He uses pratiprasava. Prasava means it's like pregnancy. It's something which has come to matter. Pratiprasava is reversing. It's going back into the origin. So a very technical term. So it's a sutra. So it uses very technical terms. Pratiprasava, and there is liberation. That's it. We're done. We did it, finished on time. And now you're all experts, so you know the core content. That's what Patanjali has talked about in 196 or 95 sutras. Yeah. Stop. Any questions? I'm happy to answer.